Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. I'll let my intro play a little bit. I won't speak so much because I will have an intro when I'm recording. I'll edit it and the intro comes in later. So that's kind of with the intro because I add different intros in. I'm still experimenting and learning the system, right? But welcome in. I'm glad you guys are here because this is what it's about, is us finding the space to connect, be here, admonish each other, connect to our higher, looking for the connection that would prosper a unity, right? That would bring in a unity, not always repel you away and not extract from you, right? Because there's also that aspect of wanting to extract from you, or like I mention all the time, leaking your energy, right? Needing spiritual tools to tighten the nuts and bolts, or leaking your energy because like going to the dentist and they tell you that tooth's no good, it's dead, it's unfixable. What do? Extract it. So many times a lot of these systems in this reality are energies on the other side, because this is the reality that really hits me, is we're trying to work or go to the Christ consciousness, the consciousness of unity, right? Unity consciousness is called. Christ consciousness, the same thing. It's exactly the same thing. And as we go to that, which is definitely a connection of all being one, we are always dealing with the duality of different areas on our way there, where some dualities are always there on the lower vibration or frequency, or every time you turn your head, in every aspect, there's always a duality to it, meaning there's another side in everything. Important to know that there's the other side on everything. We get taught a lot about different things, and I wanted to hit on, today released, it's not out today because this doesn't come out today, but today as I'm recording was let out the song War Pigs by Pink Floyd, or esoteric decoding of the lyrics esoterically. And as you can see that, go look at the lyrics and you'll kind of, many of you don't know, not aware of that, or didn't listen to that, don't know anything about that music, will have a judgment not knowing there's another side to it. And when you get on the other side is something else, right? It's kind of the repelling, connecting, and also there could be a taking and as somebody takes from you, it extracts. That's like taking from you. Maybe taking something from you you're not willing to give because you didn't know that there was a leak in the hose, or you didn't know that there's something that wants to take something that you got, frequency wise, vibration wise, because where we live in is definitely always a universe, meaning there's unification and there's verses. There's unification of one, and then there's the verses each other, right? Like opponents, like two teams against each other, right? Two opponents, two oppositions, right? So we talked about before that, I did one on maximum fragmentation, and had a lot of people really kind of sent me messages about that, saying that, wow, that stuff was good, thumbs up, and in this. And we're going to go back there, but we're going to carry on, right? We're going to somewhat carry on from that, as I put something together, my own little chart or own little information to put that out and have this available. I might need to bring this to me to get a little too close to the screen, because I'm going to, right? Oh my gosh, where's this at? I hope that it's here still. Bear with me, it's there. Okay, where am I at? Okay. Let's just do this. And when we let's go back into maximum fragmentation. We talked about this, is what I kind of went in on the other day. And you might say, that's interesting that you do that. I really didn't get this from a computer looking up. I actually got this from alchemical, because I've really been diving in personally into alchemy. That's really where I've been at in my accumulation of learning alchemy. Been aware of, Hermeticism, alchemy, Gnosticism. We cover it all, going into what this is, how this is connected, but really going in where some of it I know about, but may not have deep dived into going through it in knowledge. So I've really been doing the alchemy studying and breaking down, and this is actually where I got it from. So we're going to kind of do that today. In the fact is, we're going to talk about this. So it's kind of me we're just going to call this connected vibe. We talked about what the maximum fragmentation was about, that it's things being broken up. We talked about that in the other video, the fragmenting, right? Like the fractals, like the mirror images that we see, the fractals or the fragments of ourselves from different areas, right? We even connection with people. What's so good about building or having relationships with loved ones, friends, and whoever you have relationships with, right? Whether it's short-term, long-term, whatever purpose that may be a short-term serving, is that really people are always reflecting you. They become your mirrors in relationships, where you're really, when you're operating in this, you're seeing the reflection of yourself in them. What's the connection? How does this work? What is happening, right? So we are going to we look at that. We're going to go down. We talked about how this is, it's insufficient for sending, right? The fragments lost or corrupted. The packet can't successfully be reassembled. We talked about that. Large transfers can result in short datagrams, which can waste router resources, right? So that's actually, I see that wasting the router resource would be even disturbing. You can't process it through, so it breaks it into pieces. And this is actually and this is what we got to understand by the AI or the computer realm, is the computer realm is actually inorganic computer copy of your process as a whole human in consciousness and variations of the whole 360, looking at the 360. My head could turn all the way around, right? The 360 rotation, right? Of that. When AI's first in the spirit, that's a whole different thing. I'll go into that later. That's what go into the extracting, right? That we would see. So then we'd see, when we look at computer and we look at all this technology, it's a copy of you. Every aspect of it from the motherboard, right, all the way to the antennas. We talk about antennas, to your cameras, to your projectors, and all that's connected to this system. So we talked about what the fragmentation, and I even said we've been fragmented to the face where that light came. The light came, got refracted, and there's a dark part that went to the dark of it and the light, because they're opposites of each other, right? That's the reality of it. And then we have the fragmentation starting, which I even can keep adding and going into abuses, but we fragment it into this physical form, right? And we want to keep because then when we go into the organic part of what happens inorganically, which really is not or inorganically just going to happen, this process happens to us as individuals, right? But how do you make it work? It's like it deassembled you, fragmented you, but then in the process of taking it into datagram, it reassembles you, right? It's as I looked in here, and we're going to go into what datagram really is and what it entails and how it applies to us now. So we've seen the fragmentation is lost, it's corrupted, right? The packet cannot be successfully reassembled. Additionally, a large transfer can result in a lot of suboptimal short datagrams, which can waste router resources. Data fragmentation occurs when a collection of data in memory is broken into pieces and are not close together. This can happen with a large object inserted into storage that has already experienced external fragmentation. What am I saying? There's the network of what it does is, and this even happens to us, that we break off, we've broken off, and then we integrate. As we're put back together, we integrate with even our consciousness and different levels of consciousness as we start going through processing or going through the awakening state of updating ourselves, right? Even updating and raising our consciousness. You go from one level to the next. This process happens to us probably multiple times, not just the initial light into the body, which we did experience once, but then you wake up and, so you're waking up and you're having this experience, you're going to the next level. You're being broken into pieces. The remember all things. You're remembering all things. Your members are your fragments that you got to piece back together. Against that would lead you into Humpty Dumpty, putting yourself back together, reassembling your consciousness, reassembling full self. But also know that always in every aspect of this, assembling yourself is always one side to the other. If you play yourself into going side to side, the harmony is going into the balance. So let's look so it talks about that this would work, right? That it would have to go through the process of being broken up and then put back into storage and have the experiment, right? Let's see if it's down here at all. Where was this at? Okay, let's look at this right here. Datagram, this is what a datagram is. So it's put in a datagram after it's broken into pieces. Datagram is a self-contained unit of data that's transmuted over a network, usually between different nodes such as computers or servers. Datagrams are type of packet or sent in connectionless manner. So inorganic manner, right? Connection's organic. And then they typically contain enough information to be routed up to their source in a designation with the need of advanced setup. That's heavy to me, advanced setup. It's a transferring, like down here, you see that it's a transfer after the broken up. It's putting back together in small pieces, right? So it can be transferred, so it can go through the process, so it fits. It has to be put back together. And this is actually what us as humans really go through in our process of being broken, right? Pieces. We've talked about it in other rounds of somebody being broken. And it just, when somebody's broken, we can stay in the broken state and fizzle down to depression, whatever would come to that, having no hope, hopelessness. Or it could be you are broken to be put back together in a more tedious way to fit better consciously in your next journey of where you're going, what you're doing, what your purpose is. Let's look at this. A datagram refers to a self-contained independent unit that is transmitted over a network. Datagrams are used to send data between different nodes on a network, such as computer servers. Data usually consists of a header and a payload. When I see this really is heavy to me because it reminds me, I'll even look at this as it was talking here when we were reading this earlier, the nodes and the sources. Datagrams are usually structured into a header, payload, which we just read, and they can support maximum of 65,535 bytes at a time. However, the network does not guarantee delivery or arrival time or order the arrival of the datagrams. Intermediary service like routers automatically guide datagrams to their final destination based on the address specified in the header. So there's actually, when you look at this process, there's a place for it to go to link it, but it may not come at a specific time. But actually that even opens my understanding a little bit up to what the routers do, right? It's routing. What's a route? Getting to a destination. What's your route to drive to work? Is there multiple routes? Routes are directions, routes are maps, GPSs give you routes, right? Router, you're even in your house, you have a router. So the router can connect to various different equipment, from phones to everything that can hold the Wi-Fi router and connect to it, right? It says this can be connectionless at times. Earlier, as you've seen up here in the manner, up here it says the type of packet can be connectionless, but the router gives it the connection, is what I'm seeing here. I could be, help me revelate. If you guys see something else, put it in there in the comments. And remember, I'm not turning us into AI. AI is a copy of us. The other side is when they make I the deal and you become secondary. And we'll follow up that on later videos, what that means, and even share some stuff that might make you go, things that you talk about that back in the day was a show, things that make you go, that will be coming with this. But I'm going to keep kind of going into some certain things. I'm going to add more alchemy videos. And later, after I get through a little bit more alchemy, I'm going to head more into hermetics and hermetic principles and everything that entails hermeticism, right? I'm going to go into that too. But right now we're dealing with alchemy, showing you that how this would work, how this maximum, right? We talked about the maximum fragmentation, and we experience as individuals being broken into pieces. That's what the Humpty Dumpty story is telling you, that the king and his horsemen aren't datagrams. They're the ones who create they're the ones that had their hand in the cookie jar of continually shattering you. Reminds me of the song by the Rolling Stones in the 70s, I've Been Shattered, right? From the late 70s, one of their albums was, they had a song that actually became a hit, and it was called Shattered. And when that's coming to me, because shattering is a fractal we go through the Humpty Dumpty. And when I said the myriads, seeing that these mirrors, as we keep our mind on reflecting, because we're reflecting ourselves, because we keep growing, we're not going the other say and decreasing ourselves or spilling ourselves, or even worse than that, leaking yourselves. Even worse than leaking and spilling would be something coming to extract from you and almost pull out that which was within, externalizing it and making that which was in externalization and clowning on the real within knowledge, which happens when this is how you could do the other side of AI, which I'm going to be honest is out there. When you want to go to Mars, it's part of it. When you want to upgrade by putting things in somebody's brain and put their consciousness in a computer, yeah. That will come later though, but this will be connected to that negative part of this, not the positive part, right? Every aspect I see more and more in the reality when you go there, has a negative and positive. That's why we get played with politics. They're really telling politics really means poll games. Poll games, meaning energetic games, meaning you can be far right, far left. We want to keep you going pendulum swinging, but the reality of full consciousness, being a sovereign, activating yourself, would be you has something to do with not going this way, all the way this way, but going stop, balance, harmonize, boom. This is where in our most powerful state, but when we're being influxed, both this, we're like, but the datagram is like a deliverance. It's a packet, right? That can be put in this like packet. And then the router and the header, right? The address specific for the router's information, because it needs to know where to deliver, is going to get you where you need to go to bring forth this information that you was once shattered or refracted, or fractals, fragmentation into pieces, so the information now starting to become put together. We do this consciously, is what I'm saying. We're doing this consciously, this work right here that it's talking about. We do it consciously. We're the masters of it, because we're the organic field and the organic ones that use it, and we're not AIs that are the copies were the organic ones where everything AI copies, but then AI is eventually wanting to be superior to the original ones, which it's a copy of, if that makes sense. Harmonize with that if you can. Catch me if you can, right? Um, Catch me if you can, if you're feeling down. Because I sure appreciate you being around. Connection, appreciation, gratitude, being around, connecting. This actually fixes a situation even within us as we piece ourselves together, because we're so fragmented, because the fragment is just not the light getting divided into, and then the shadow of the dark comes with it, because the whole light is both sides. It's the yin and yang. It's the whole circle within both split of dark and white, consciousness, matter, black, white, and it's really not a color based. It's almost colorless, right? Both sides. I even see in that abstinence of that is that when you take the 7-layered rainbow and you see the 7 layers, I said there's a hidden colorless aspect of both of these, and they're actually the opposite ends of the pole, and that would be the yin and the yang, or the black and the white. Make sense? That's why if you go to different places, different countries, and you see different types of people, and that place has got certain people, and you go being the different one or the other side, you're almost, God, you're kind of like the erotic one. You're the different one. And it doesn't matter what you are. When you go to a place, you're the opposite, right? You go to another place and you see other people, and the attractions, like, you're not like everybody here. You be even go to a different culture, you'll even see that a different country, even if you're so-called black and white. And these are whole different things. There's no such a thing as black and white with people. People are not crayons. That's a whole different jive time that you have to decode what that all is, and how that was even put in reality of calling people crayons, because they're not. People are not crayons. That's programming. And that's the stuff we're kind of trying to put ourselves back together through a program, but it's really not through an AI program. It's us coming to our full higher consciousnesses. We're raising, like the computer system's trying to raise its bandwidth, right? The higher we raise our 3D, 4D, we're the expansion of the bandwidth, which is all connected to your AI in your house. If you got AI, if you got like Wi-Fi, listen to Wi-Fi. I've said this before a couple of times. Wi-Fi is a feminine aspect. You go, how do you know, Dan or D-boy? It's like Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi, it's like Wi-Fi, because I can be an E. Remember, A-I-O-I-E, all the vowels can be interchangeable, and we sometimes count. I is pronounced in English, sometimes as a E, right? Wi-Fi is kind of connected to the broadband of the connection, right? The connection of creating a child, right? A procreation goes through the woman, or the wifey, right? The woman. She's where the conception comes apart from the entering in to she's the in that the other side brings in, which is from a whole different level of, and then we're doing this consciously. Like, I would say that we actually, once we get our mindset in certain times when we're really focused in our reality and humming in a higher thing, really every second is like a possible impregnation of energetic fields that you can create, and anything's possible because you can impregnate in any of these levels. I'm talking spiritually. You can impregnate possibilities of creating something vast in the vast field when you're in a certain mindset, but you have to go in there, because that's where it comes from, if that makes sense, like a womb. And that's kind of what, when you see the fragmentation, had to go in the datagram. It had to be made smaller, but it was able to piece it all together. And now it's sending pieces, like almost north, south, east, and west. Let's put the legs, arms, and heads in one. But this is consciously within, because our bodies are within. We didn't get dismembered without. We got dismembered within, right? Think about that. The datagram. So this is really the experience. That's why I was seeing this. I was really seeing this on a whole different level. And let's go here. You know, this may be the same. It's really giving us the same information. I said we read this earlier. Again, a datagram refers to a self-contained. We're self-contained with everything. The vastness of us and our energetic field to raise our consciousness, to equip and find and put when we're saying piece all together, we're piecing our wholeness together from density into what is our wholeness aspect of ourselves. What is our wholeness when we go into limited and we realize we're raising from limited and more accessible, and then we see different realities, then we see different dimensions of self within self, through self. Now we don't look like what we thought we used to look like, or people tried to scale us down to, or our matrix would scale us down and keep us into. That makes sense? This is all, it's contained. Right? Independent, but contained unit. Data that is transmitted over a network. Datagrams are used to send data between nodes on a network, such as computers and servers. Datagram consists of a header and a payload. And this, of course, you know, this goes in next into routers and all that stuff. Awesome stuff, right? This is even connect how this is a copy of how we operate in a very spiritual system of connections, right? Of that which, like I said, I did a word of the day. We think that doesn't coincide, but when you look up the word coincide, it means inside, within. We think coincidences are something not connected. They're totally connected when you look it up in etymology. We just are given wrong definitions because of the fragmentation in those who want to push a fragmentation so we don't piece back together, which is really a fear and lack of consciousness. Even though you may have the knowledge that we're seeking and hiding it from us, it's used to extract instead of build and bring in and vibrate, you know, instead of not repel, but attract, right? Attract instead of take away, instead of repel, and build. Build who? Yourself, as you rise from a different degree or a different third, fourth, fifth dimension, and you become this. Now you've activated a whole different reality of a different part of yourself as you harmonized yourself into the next level. So this is a connection to that. This is the information being putting back together through the gram, right? That's why they call it Instagram. They want to give you an Instagram, right? The containment of independent and transmitted over a network. Notice a network. We live in, what do they call it? It's called the internet. There's a net kind of over it, right? Kind of like when you go fishing and you use nets. You put the net out there. What is the fly? What's the fly perspective of the spider web or spider net? Think about it. Horror. But to the spider, food. The reality, right, of the perception of the other side, right? How can we bring a volume of unity within from us, and then we uploading it to our networks above, and we walk into that reality as it manifests to us as we go into these spaces and places within. I mean, we're talking some real good stuff here. Appreciate you guys being home, being on board, talking about this. I'll close this down in a second. I just wanted to share with y'all. I just felt it was very powerful, and it can be very awakening, the processing that we go through. Things just don't happen by chance. There's a set up system that we're not being taught in this system that's inorganic, right? The tricks, the matrix, the matrix. The trickster likes to operate in the matrix, right? A lot of people would call the trickster different things in different cultures, right? Native Americans a trickster, other ones a trickster, and then you find out, well, what is a trickster? And you'll find it has many, many names and many different teachings and many different cultures and different types of teachings. What is a trickster? What does a trickster do? But you'll find there's an alignment of what the trickster will do purposely till he realizes tricks aren't for kids and you're not a child anymore. Then the trickster really can't operate as a trickster, because what we see is the trickster happening all the time. What we've seen the last 2 weekends, the social media is the Joker and the trickster running around with their play, giving the king his entertainment, but we're not in. Let's wake up. We're not being entertained by it, and we won't entertain it. Your power is through your processing of what you know and how you use it and how to operate, and then you're actually opening it so you don't fall for the deceptions, because one side can actually seem like it's saving you, because this is an old practice that they would do, cause this problem, and then you jump in as the solution or the savior. But you guys have a great day. We'll talk later. We're going to get into some other stuff. We're going to talk about it, be about it, and let's work together. You guys, please share, subscribe. Remember Rumble. I mentioned Rumble in my last video. Rumble's is awesome. Go to Rumble if you like Rumble. You can see me there, catch me at Rumble. And maybe I'm thinking maybe humbling myself in a different way, and maybe just go ahead and go into Spotify again, change it up, and just start adding a new. Put it in the comments you think I should. But also I'm being led. I didn't like their customer service was not good at all. But I'm sure if I was a JR, and I'm not talking about Jim Ross or JR Tolkien, if I was the other JR, I'd probably bring me steak and eggs every morning. That's the kind of customer service you get. But anyways, that's the reality, the duality. But you guys have a great day. We'll see you soon with some more videos, right?